Yo, what's going on, guys? You got Hiker Toad here, and we are back with some more Surge. Apologies for not uploading for like another month, but we are back with some Surge. I just want to explain a few things before we hop into this. If you want to know more about Surge and actually how it works, I recommend you check my draft analysis video that I uploaded, like I said, like a month ago. That will be linked in the description probably, so yeah, make sure you check that out if you want to know all about that and the mons that I drafted round 1 and the reasoning why. And so skipping forward, in round 2 I ended up getting a forfeit win versus Astro J. Unfortunately, he was away on vacation for that week, and he couldn't play until like a week after that, so I ended up just getting the forfeit win. So for round 2 I didn't actually play a game for that, but for round 2, but every round you change your team in this format, so I wanted to go over what changes I made to my team. And as you can see, I added the Metagross and the Heliowisc, as Metagross is just an upgraded Doublade. Basically, it's a lot better, although it does make me a lot weaker to fighting, so I do need to keep that in mind, although I do have Gligar and Volbeat still, as well as the Primarina, so it's really good there. And then I also got rid of Hitmontop for Heliowisc, because like as the rounds go on, you're going to get better and better electric types that are available for you. And also Hitmontop is literal trash, and I didn't really see myself bringing it to a game, so I figured I might as well bring something that brings me a lot more speed, and it's also just a lot more threatening. So I felt, and it's also a good Z user because I didn't really have too many good Z mons on the team, because like Archeops is a Z user, but like it's fine with just like no item acrobatics, so I figured that would be good. So yeah, that's the change I made to that. And then for round 3, because I didn't battle round 2, there was nothing really to explain there. For round 3, I made some more changes, and I dropped Gligar for Nidoking, and then I dropped Archeops for Mega Aerodactyl. So basically, Archeops for Aerodactyls is pretty simple. It's just basically an upgrade. Aerodactyl, obviously way better and obviously more expensive because we had access to 14-point mons in round 3. So I decided to just get the Aerodactyl, and then Nidoking, I decided to get over Gligar, although I do lose a solid fighting resist, and also I do lose that levitate, which obviously does make me a bit more weaker to ground, with my ground resist being Volbeat, Abomasnow, and then the Aerodactyl. It does give me some really good offense, and I just like those. It can just rip through teams to shreds, and it gives me more speed as well, which obviously I have the Heliowisc, and I have the Arrow, and now I have the Nidoking, which can obviously be Scarfed, and I can still like check stuff if I want to bring like certain sets or whatever. So yeah, it's kind of just like a quick sort of rundown of the changes I made. This is going to be the team that I use for round 3. I'll try and go a bit more in depth for the other rounds if we do make it that far, but yeah, that's going to be it for this, and I will be right. Alright, we are back with the meat of this video. We got the battle, and we are going up against Mr. Illusion for round 3 of the silver bracket for Surge. Illusion's a very interesting battler. Not really battler, but prepper, I must say, to say the least. For example, in our last game that we played, he brought Banded Swampert, so he definitely isn't afraid to sort of experiment and use sometimes sets that are like more unorthodox and can really catch you off guard. So this game really needed to be very careful and mindful of all the possible sets that he could bring. As you can see, he has the Zeraora, Hitmonlee, Alolan Muck, Slowking, Ferrothorn, and he has the Archeops. And if I remember correctly, he also had a Gligar on the bench. And as you can see with my team, I have Aerodactyl, Metagross, Nidoking, I keep on saying Nidoqueen, Heliowisc, Primarina, and the Incineroar. With the bench being Abomasnow and Volbeat, not bringing any of my low tier mons this game, unfortunately. But yeah, let me just quickly run over the team. Aerodactyl is just defog in case rocks and spikes, like he gets too many of those up, because Edge plus Fire Fang pretty much deals with all of his team. Metagross has the rocks, and it's just like a general good check to everything. Like Archeops is pretty annoying, as you can see. I don't have the best rock resist. Like Edgequake is very dangerous against me. Nidoking is Life Orb, but it is like sort of bulky to help check the Zeraora and the Archeops to an extent, as well as the Hitmonlee, as Scarf Hitmonlee is a very big threat to me because, like I said, like my speed isn't the best, and it like barely outspeeds Scarf Nidoking, so Scarf Nidoking was kind of pointless in this matchup. So yeah, wasn't really going that route. I have Scarf Heliolisk as another way to check the Zeraora and the Scarf Hitmonlee. I have an Ayapapa Primarina with Encore, Moonblast, Hydro, and Hidden Power Fire, I'm pretty sure. Hits his team pretty hard, unless he's like a very Spadef, Slowking, or Muck, and even then I can still hit him hard, as this can kind of deal with the Slowking, because Encore feels like Calm Mind, but it really, and it can just force the Muck to either get chipped if it's Assault Vest, or just recycle if it is the Ayapapa Berry itself. And then lastly, I have Incineroar with the Chople Berry and the Fake Out. Fake Out's very good because I like that chip on the Hitmonlee and the Zeraora, just because like I'm not really normally a fan of Fake Out and stuff like that, but it has like not the best defenses, and I need all the chip I can get on it so I can kill it with like Scarf Heliolisk or something like that if it's scarfed itself. So yeah, that is the team, and I'm just gonna hop right into it as I lead with the Nidoking as he leads with the Muck. And as you can see, I'm going to Earth Power turn 1, but first off, I lead with this because it leads off perfectly against pretty much anything that he can lead with. I don't think Archeops can kill this. Definitely can't kill it with like anything else, so this just gets some really big damage off on something immediately. So I can go for the Earth Power as he reveals to be Shuckle Berry. He's going to get some big damage off with the Ice Punch. I'm just going to play it safe, go for the Earth Power again. Even if he goes to the Archeops, it's fine, as I'm going to make a hard switch into Arrow, just predicting him to go for the Earthquake or the Rocks. As I can now just go fire off an edge, it's pretty free. If he wants to go Pharaoh, then I force him out. If I force him to stay in, then he's not going to be able to kill me with the edge back, which he unfortunately does miss, because if he didn't miss, maybe it would have been a sort of 50-50 if I edged again, or if I went for the defog, if he expected me to have it, since this is my only removal, and rocks are a tad annoying, and like spikes are like really annoying, so it really depends there. But like I literally lose nothing by going for the defog here, as he just pivots out into the Pharaoh. I have no reason to risk my arrow, so I'm just going to go into the Nidoking as he sets up a lightning spike, and I'm just going to go for the flamethrower, just play it safe, see what he wants to do, as he reveals a very Spadef Slowking, not Slowbro. I'm messing up all these Mons names, as he's either very Spadef or he's Assault Vest. I'm assuming that he's Assault Vest just because it makes sense versus my team. I have a Nidoking, I have a Primarina, it just like makes sense, you know, as it stops those special attackers. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just fire off a Mega Horn at this point. I don't really need Nidoking, it's pretty low, so it doesn't check Zeraora as well, and so I can damage his team in other ways. So I'm just going to try and keep this Slowking low, as I can now go into the Incineroar, which he has no good switch into. So I can just fire off a free Flare Blitz, which is just great, and I can just kill off the Muck, and he goes into the Archeops. And a great thing about the miss earlier, which obviously was unfortunate for him, means that this is just a free arrow right here, because if he edges, I live. And if he just chooses to Endeavor, then I can just outspeed him next turn and kill him and prevent the rocks, so he doesn't double hazard stack me. As he then goes out into Hitmonlee, so this either suggests that he is Scarfed, or he is Fake Out, or with Unburden, or he's just Fake Out in general. So Primarina is a pretty fine play here, as he just goes right for the high jump kick. So I can kind of just assume that he's Scarfed at this point, which I thought he might have in prep anyways. So I'm going to just go for the Hidden Power, and I'm going to go for the Hidden Power again as he goes into his Slowking. Now my reasoning for this is because if he went for the Psyshock here, he would put me in my Ayapapa Berry range, and it obviously also covers him going into Ferrothorn, because him trying to get more regen is definitely a viable option, because Moonblast does 2-hit KO from this range, even if he is a very Spadef Slowking. So I am going to make that play as he just goes for the Scald. I don't want to risk this Marina, because it's a very good check to the Hitmonlee's high jump kick if I need it. And just looking at my team, I am pretty weak to that. and the spike will proc that I pop a berry and bring me back up. So that's something very important that I need to keep in mind for the late game. As he's going to Side Shock now, I go into Heliolisk. I probably could have played this a bit more aggressive, because Side Shock was obvious, and then obviously Ferrothorn was very obvious. So I could have tried to play a bit more aggressive. I think I probably should have, but it's whatever. I can just go into my Incineroar now, see what he wants to do, as he just goes for a Gyro Ball, and that just gives me a free kill with the Incineroar, as he just throws away his Pharaoh, because he doesn't really have a switch in, and I guess he felt like that was the least valuable. That's fine by me. So yeah, I'm just going to sack this off to the Zeraora now, and I'm going to go Metagross now. I actually don't have Earthquake on this Metagross, but I need to get this chipped for my Heliolisk so I can take it out with the Hyper Voice. And I think that Heliolisk is more important than Metagross, so I'm just going to go for the Hammer-Arm, as that's going to do a still decent chunk to the Slowking. It still does a decent chunk to the Slowking, as he's going to just fire off a Flamethrower. Doesn't really matter to me. That's good tech for Abomasnow, actually. Just noticed that, as that's going to do a good chunk. I'm going to miss the Meteor Mash, and he's going to kill me with the Flamethrower. However, this does not really matter much. It matters like somewhat for momentum purposes, but like regardless, he was just gonna revenge me with Zeraora or Hitmonlee. So it really depends on what he went out with, what he went out into. As I can Hyper Voice now, he goes Zeraora. I'm just gonna sack this off because here's what I need to do. There's a chance that I win and I lose here, and I think that Hyper Voicing is what brings me to that chance of winning, because Hyper Voice puts this in range of Arrow, and then Arrow revenges. So I'm just going to skip to that one. He's going to Plasma Fist, kill me off. However, if he were to go into Hitmonlee at this point, he would win. But if I was Aerial Ace, and I were to Aerial Ace right here as he hard swapped into Hitmonlee, he would just lose. So, and also, it's not even confirmed that I am the berry. So, in his mind, basically his only real play is to just sack this off and win with Hitmonlee, because that's just what it seems like. Hitmonlee wins. So, I'm just going to go to the Stone Edge. He's going to lose his Zeraora. I'm going to sack off my Aerodactyl to the Scarf Close Combat. And I'm now going to go into the Primarina. My berry's going to proc, and I'm going to win this game in a very close 1-0. Good game to Illusion, really tight game at the end. Yeah, that Hitmonlee was just really threatening late game, and that berry just came in clutch. That's really all it came down to it. But yeah, we are moving on to the next round of Surge, so I'll be right back with that shortly. Alright boys, we are back with round 4 of Surge, and I'm going to quickly go over the trades that I made to change my team. And as you can see, we got some spice right here. So what I decided to do was drop Primarina for Azumarill, Heliolisk for Zeraora, Volbeat for the Conkeldurr, and I think I only did those 3, yeah. So pretty simple with these two. Azu was basically just an upgrade from Primarina, and Zeraora was just an upgrade from Heliolisk, and Zeraora was like really cheap, so that was very useful for me. And so now we got Conk for Volbeat. I wasn't really, basically I just didn't see Volbeat as something I was going to bring to a game. I just didn't think I need it. It served its purpose as just being like that filler at the end, you know, that 2-point mon. Like I could have brought it, but I just never ended up doing it. And we knew our opponents in advance for this, and my opponent for this round was extremely weak to Conkeldurr. His fighting resist, I think, was like Latios, so his team kind of just got shredded by Conk, and he had stuff like this really takes advantage of too, with like Greninja, he had Snorlax, and like Mega Aggron, so this thing could really just tear through his team. So I really wanted to grab this thing up and just like, I had the Hitmontop as a fighting type in the first round, but like I really don't like Hitmontop, and Conk is just a really cool and really good mon that I actually haven't really tried out, and like I haven't used it in forever, so I felt like why not use it now. So yeah, it's gonna be our trades, and we'll be right back with the battle in a second. Yo, what's going on, guys? We are back with my 4th round game for Surge, and as I said in the preview to this, Conk destroys him. As you can see, literally nothing wants to take a fighting hit, really. Like, Latios can take it, but it really just doesn't. So I'm just going to quickly go over what the teams are. He has Greninja, Garchomp, Latios, Mega Aggron, Snorlax, and the Electros, while I have the Zeraora, Azu, Conk, Metagross, Incineroar, and the Abomasnow. Bringing Abomasnow back for the 4th round against these big threats. So, with that, let me quickly go over my team. I'm just an expert about 4 attacks. Zeraora hits him very hard. He doesn't have good answers to it. I'm a defensive Azu with Kebia to help check Gren, and but I do have, like, obviously some offensive investment to do some damage, as he really doesn't switch into Azu well. And I do have Encore on this for stuff like setup Snorlax and setup Lottie. Also, interesting enough, he chose to go with Z Lottie over Z Garchomp, so I definitely need to play around that, as he might just be like Scarf Chomp because obviously, like I mentioned before, I have a bit of a ground weakness, and especially since I'm not bringing Mega Arrow to this game, he can definitely take advantage of that ground weakness. So yeah, we have Flame Orb Conkeldurr with Bulk Up, Mach Punch, Drain Punch, and Ice Punch. This thing just shreds through him. It is a very good check to stuff like Aggron, Snorlax, and can just set up alongside them and blow them away. I have Shaka Metagross just because Chomp is just that big of a threat. I really need to check the Chomp with Ice Punch, obviously. And then I have, I don't remember the 2 other coverage moves. I think one of them is Earthquake. And then I have Rocks as well on that. And then in Incineroar, I have the Iapapa once again, with the Taunt and the Will-O-Wisp. It's a very good check to Aggron, because quite frankly, my team really doesn't appreciate switching into Mega Aggron, so it's good to have some sort of check like that. And then lastly, we have the star Scarf Abomasnow. So my speed tiers are really bad, and just as an example, it goes from Zeraora down to Nidoqueen, so that's really bad. So he's going to be running Adamant on stuff like Chomp, Modest on stuff like Latios and Greninja. So I can take advantage of that with the Scarf Abomasnow and outspeed everything on his team, bar like a Scarf Garchomp or like just a Scarf in general. And I can serve as a really good revenger to his offensive threats. So that's very good indeed. And I can also chip down the Mega Aggron, which is kind of how I have to deal with it during this game if he plays smart with it. So we're going to hop right into this, as I'm going to lead with the Incineroar. Very good lead against him in general, unless he leads with the Greninja, which is what he does. Because if he led like with Garchomp, I could have just Will-O-Wisped, because I can easily chew an Earthquake and just punish him for that. But he leads with the Greninja, so I'm just going to play it safe and go into the Azu. He has the -1 drop, so Gunk wouldn't have done that much anyways. But Hydro does like 40, so yeah, this is a very offensive Gren. It's definitely not a suicide Sash Lead or anything. And so I'm just going to fire off a free play rough. It's literally free. He'd have to like risk Aggron right here, which takes a ton from liquidation. And I do 52 to the Electros, which for a very little invested Azu is a lot. So I figured that he was offensive right here, and I was kind of torn between whether he was just going to go for an electric move or go for like knockoff or U-turn predicting Zeraora. So I kind of just made the middle ground and went into my Incineroar, and I do take a hefty chunk from that, but it's alright because I can just fire off a knockoff here. And now we have a bit of a 50-50 because I don't have any removal on this team. He sees that I don't have any removal, so he naturally will want to get up Rocks. However, if he expects the taunt, then Earthquake will just kill me from this range. And while Rocks won't be up, this thing will be able to come around later, do damage. Like, even just forcing this thing out is pretty annoying and like hard for me to do. So I need to be very careful here, but Rocks just absolutely like will annoy me to no end. It will chip down the Incineroar. Obviously, if he Earthquakes, that doesn't matter, but it will chip down the Abomasnow. It chips down the Azu, which is already pretty low in general. Also chip down the Zeraora, which I want to keep somewhat healthy in case I needed to take a hit from something, like a Grand's Water Shuriken, or like a Snorlax's Body Slam, or like a Psychic from Lottie. So I need to be careful, and I want to try and keep it as healthy as possible. So I'm just going to go for the taunt, as he's going to go for the rocks, and on the following turn I can just fire off the Wisp. He's going to Earthquake, not put me in range of my Ayapapa Berry, unfortunately, but Flare Blitz will put me in range, so I can just go for the Flare Blitz, get the berry, and he's just going to go for the Heavy Slam here, actually predicting a switch most likely, so that's even better for me because I can just get a free Flame Blitz, Flare Blitz off. You're getting some good chip off on the Garchomp. I see that he's offensive, that's good information. I'm going to go hard on Abomasnow because I think he has no reason not to Earthquake, and this is just a free Blizzard for me because the Aggron's literally just weakened, and not many people really run Thick Fat Snorlax, especially not just for an Abomasnow, as he's now going to go into the Snorlax, and I think that the Incineroar sack is just very predictable, and I want to keep sacks for the Latios because Incineroar's weakened, Azu's weakened, and I cannot afford to let Metagross take damage because I need it to check the Garchomp, because if it's Scarf, then it can run through me potentially late game. So I'm going to make a bit of a, I don't know if, I wouldn't really call this aggressive because it was still safe overall, but I did risk taking damage. Oh no, the main thing I risked was really just taking a Paralyze. If he went for the Body Slam and I got paralyzed, that'd be definitely very annoying. But he's just going to go for the Curse, trying to capitalize on an Incineroar sack, as he's going to Curse, as I'm going to bulk up, as now I can just fire off a Drain Punch. He won't really do much to me, as he is Chople Berry, so my damage does get weakened, but that doesn't really matter because I can take any sort of hit from this, as he decides to Curse once again, and I can either decide to bulk up here or to take his hit better, or just go for the Drain Punch, because Drain Punch is a roll at this stage. And I'm just going to go for the Drain Punch. I really don't care that much about my health on this. I have Mach Punch, so I could do a lot of damage to his other stuff, as he's unfortunately going to live. But that's alright, because I can just Drain Punch on the next turn. And I still have Conk's Mach Punch around for the Gren. So he's now going to go into Latios. I'm just going to sack the Incineroar here, as he's going to go for the Psychic, and on the following turn he's just going to revenge me with the Gigavolt Havoc, and this is really good. Now, obviously I just sacked him on. Why would it be really good? It's because I gained valuable information. I know that this is Z. He revealed Psychic, he revealed Gigavolt Havoc, which is either Thunderbolt or Thunder. So, with that, I know that he's not like any other set, like Scarfed or like Specs. So it's really just now a matter of what I want to revenge this with. If I go Azu, I risk a roll if he's Thunderbolt. If he's Thunder and he lands, he just kills me, so that's a bit risky. Metagross, if that gets weakened enough for Chomp, then that can be an issue. Although I do still have Azu, which can take Dragon moves. And I still have Abomasnow, which can take one Earthquake, although it can't take an Earthquake plus a Water Shuriken, so I need to be careful about that. So I'm actually going to choose to go out into Abomasnow, because this pretty much just forces a kill right here. If he goes Gren, he's basically sacking it off. I can't take two Blizzards. Not with Hail, plus the Blizzards, plus Life Orb, you can't take it. So I'm going to go into this. I know that Blizzard doesn't OHKO this, so I was willing to sack this off here, but he doesn't have the Draco, so I do end up living this. And he is actually going to take tail damage, and he's going to preserve it. So I'm just going to go into... So, I mean, he's going to sack his Electros and go into this now. I'm just going to sack this off, as he does have the Shuriken, so this wasn't really that useful at this point, because Chomp, I'm assuming, outsped. As I can now go into the Zeraora, and I'm going to go for the Close Combat, because that will cover the Garchomp coming in. Because he takes this, he can no longer take Close Combats. If I went for the knockoff, Hidden Power Ice, if I went for the knockoff or Hidden Power Ice, I would have won the game on the spot. But it was a play I felt like at the time I didn't have to make. I felt like I was still in a pretty good spot. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to go into Azu, sacking it off. It takes a hit. And now it comes into another sort of play where I can play safe and still be alright, kind of. Or I can play aggressive and just win the game on the spot. And I'm going to choose to play it safe. He's going to make the aggressive play into Gren. Very good play on his part. He's really preserving to ensure that he has enough sacks to where he can potentially sweep me instead of me sweeping him. So I'm going to lose Azu, but now I go into Zeraora. I'm going to click Close Combat. He sacks Salati. And now we have a bit of an issue because he goes Chomp, but that's not the issue. The issue is Water Shuriken. From this range, I've never really understood Water Shuriken calcs, but from this range, I should live Water Shuriken even 5 hits, I think. I think I live 4 in like if it's 5th, I think I die. But it's something like around there. It's not like I don't take that much. And this is at neutral. I'm not talking about minus that, because I'm gonna switch out. So I think that's in my best odds of winning, because Conk is not going to take a Water Shuriken from that range. The roll with Snorlax kind of hurt, but you know, it's rolls, I don't really care. So I'm just going to go into my Metagross with the Shucka, eat that. I'm going to go for the Earthquake, kill that. Also killed Gren if he went into that. I now sack Metagross to the Gren. If I had Bullet Punch, maybe. Actually, no, I don't think that changed anything, because I doubt that did enough to put it in range of Life Orb. So now I'm going to go into the Zeraora, and he's going to go for the Water Shuriken, and that does a lot, but yeah, thankfully, doesn't get enough hits. If he got 4 or 5 hits, he did win, but thankfully, Zeraora is clutch, and Numon showing its worth. Very, very, very good game. Close game, again, like our game versus Illusion. Our Surge games have definitely been very close. I've been enjoying this a lot, honestly. So yeah, I'm looking forward to our next match, and I'm going to explain the drops and all that in just a sec. So, and we are here. This is the finals of the silver bracket, and we are going up against the Choice Specs. He is our opponent for the silver bracket finals. So I'm going to be explaining my thought process for these final transactions for this final game. Well, and as you can see what I decided to do, I upgraded Zeraora to Tapu Koko, and I upgraded the Conkeldurr to Mew. So very, very important changes right there, as I just got like 2 top 5 Mons in just one round, so that's really, really good. As, yeah, I'm just going to explain why I dropped Conk. This one was pretty self-explanatory, but on my team, my opponent, for the previous round, he had Mega Sableye, and Conkeldurr is pretty much useless against Mega Sableye if he brought that, or like if he kept that. And so I didn't really want to just have like 7 viable Mons on my team going into the matchup. And Sableye was kind of just annoying in general, so I could see him bringing it and keeping it. So I decided to just drop Conk. I figured it was just the least useful member anyways. I was considering doing Metagross as well, but Metagross is very good because I think the Steel typing is very crucial. I think because it just covers a lot, like normal, fairy, flying, all of that. It covered pretty much anything that he could grab. So like if he grabbed something that like Metagross like could deal with, like by chance, then that's cool. I wasn't really planning on bringing it based on how his team kind of looked, like at the start, like what he had from the previous round. But it's just good as like a blanket check. So yeah, that's my thought process for this, and let's get into the game. And we are back with the finals of the Surge Silver bracket going up against the Choice Specs. Recommend you check him out. He's been uploading all of his rounds so far on time, unlike someone. But yeah, I definitely recommend you check him out. He uploads more Wi-Fi. He's more of like a Wi-Fi battler, so really cool. Like it's like a bit more diversity because you know, all I do is like Showdown and all that. So yeah, I definitely recommend you check him out if you're interested in some more Wi-Fi stuff. So and obviously he's pretty good. He made the finals, so yeah, definitely recommend you check out his channel. It'll definitely be in the description down below. So with that out of the way, let's get into the matchup. So he has the Donphan, Alolan Ninetales, Como, Mega Kangaskhan, Arcanine, and the Thunderous Theory. As you can tell, I said Mega Kangaskhan, so he did drop the Mega Sableye, but I still don't regret dropping Conkeldurr because Conkeldurr still, like, he has a bunch of fat, and, like, I just didn't think Conk was really essential to the game plan that I sort of, like the sort of small game plan I had formed just by looking at his team. and like it really just ended up like these 6 were pretty good on paper, and we'll see if they're good on practice. So yeah, the 2 he left on the board, I'm pretty sure, are Masquerain and the Masquerain. Shoot, what was the other one? Oh, Suicune. Yeah, that one was huge. He had a Suicune and he left it on the board, so yeah, that's definitely important. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, he has. Yeah, that kind of like surprised me. I thought he'd bring it definitely over something at least. Not really sure what, but like not having Suicune there is just one less thing to worry about because Suicune's always such a nuisance. So yeah, let me just quickly go over my team. I have Defog 3-attack arrow. I have Defog for the rocks, for the Aurora Veil, and obviously the webs. I think, like, well, I don't think it's likely that he would bring webs. I think that it's something that I need to prep for. Like, on the off chance his plan did involve webs and I didn't bring removal, I'd probably lose, because like I'd lose Coco. Well, I wouldn't maybe. My team probably wouldn't just straight up lose because a lot of it's not that fast, but I'd be at a bigger disadvantage. So because of that, I decided to bring Defog. Coco's just Roost, U-Turn, Thunderbolt, and Dazzling Gleam with Furium Z. Furium Z hits the Donphan and the Tapu Koko, and the Thunderous Therian hard, and just everything in general, honestly. But everything else kind of takes a big chunk from Coco. I have Mew, and let me say one thing about Mew. As you might have realized, his entire draft has not a single Psychic Resist and not a single Psychic Immunity. So because of that, Psychic literally just runs through him. So I'm running a Mono Psychic set with Roost, Taunt, Psychic, and Calm Mind. It can easily just sweep through him if he's not careful enough. And I do have the Rocky Helmet kind of just thrown on there in case I wanted to use this as a check to Kang. Really didn't need an item. Like, it didn't matter if I had like boosting item or leftovers. So it just made my matchup versus Kang easier, as I didn't really have the best way to just smash it with, like, because I don't have Conk. So I couldn't really just like OHKO it with much. So very good to have that. Next up, I have Banded Azu. Very, very good cleaner against him. Very, very good breaker. He has no switch into play rough. His switch into play rough is Arcanine, so if that says anything. He really doesn't deal with it well, so if I play right, and if I get rid of the Coma-O, Aqua Jet can easily clean because he doesn't really have much for it. I have a very Spadef Nidoqueen to check the Thundurus, as Thundurus is very annoying to Coco. And this also has Rocks and Toxic Spikes, as he's very weak to Toxic Spikes and Rocks. Literally everything except the Thundurus takes Toxic Spike damage, and it's really key for the Coma-O and the Kangaskhan, so Coma-O can't sweep as easily, and the Kang gets whittled easier. And I also have Rocks, which is very good for whittling stuff like the Arcanine and the Thundurus. Also the Ninetales, 3 of his mons are weak to it, so it's very good. And then lastly, I have Assault Vest Incineroar to help check the Ninetales. I don't have Brick Break. I'm actually not even sure if this gets Brick Break, but I have Superpower as my last move instead to hit Kang harder, because I kind of realized Kang, I didn't really have much for it. But yeah, this is really good Ninetales check in case he's offensive. I obviously do have like offensive responses to it, but it's good to have like an actual switch into it. There's nothing else really appreciate switching into it, as like I have no other ice resist. And I think Incineroar, at least with Assault Vest, matches up better than Metagross does, so I decided to go ahead and go with that. So I'm going to just go ahead and start up the game, as I'm going to lead with Tapu Koko, as I can U-turn out versus anything. He leads with Donphan, into U-turn. Seems like he's just like max HP. I'm going to go into the Mew. He goes for knockoff. Very nice, gets rid of my helmet, but I'm going to see that he's not the leftovers. So I'm just going to try and roost stall him for a bit, see what he wants to do, as this is something I didn't mention. He is Z Donphan. That is his Z user, and he has chosen to broad it. He's going to go for the Z Tectonic Rage and do 80% to Mew. That is very big damage, but thankfully Mew does survive, so I'm just going to kind of roost stall it a bit. The roll was like 40 to like 49, but I guess it was 50, but he kept on getting max roll, so I'm going to keep on like spamming roost here, as he does just go for rocks. I'm going to take that as an opportunity to go for the Psychic. Basically, I wanted this to be at like a decent amount of health, because this is a speedy Mew, so it does outspeed stuff like Coma-O and Arcanine, so I can like potentially use that as an opportunity to get a big hit off, or like just roost up and be healthy. as obviously this Donphan has taken a bit out of Mew, as it's below half right now, and Rocks will make it be even lower. But yeah, I'm just going to be fine with that. And he's going to go into the Ninetales now. My switch in is Incineroar. If he goes for the Veil, I can't really prevent that. So I'm just going to go into, like, this is my response. I'm going to do it. I am 100% clicking U-turn on this turn. If he goes Coma O and manages to get free setup, there's a chance I just straight up lose. Just because, like, my team isn't really meant to deal with a Coma O that's set up that fast. My team's more so meant to prevent Coma O from getting set up that far. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to U-turn as he goes into the Arcanine, which is best case scenario because I can go out into my Aerodactyl and I can just defog away these rocks, defog away the Aurora Veil, and it's going to be much harder for him to get the Aurora Veil up now. He'll have to find another opportunity, which won't be as easy, as he's going to reveal the Burn Up, which is really interesting prep by him. Removes his fire typing, and this is kind of when I realized, okay, how do I kill this now? Because, like, the fire typing was actually really helping me kill this, but now I have to find another means of doing so. But I'm just going to go into the Nidoqueen because with his hazards gone, I'm now going to stack him myself. And so firstly, I'm just going to go for the Toxic Spikes in case he wants to switch out. Wasn't really sure what his Arcanine set kind of was, as he reveals to be a Toxic Fire Spin Arcanine, so he's sort of a trapping Arcanine. So that's actually really cool. It can, like, trap, like, my Mew, it can trap, like, just, like, pretty much anything, like, after he burns up, so that's really good prep on his part, and it's very good at just removing something that he might want removed. As I'm just going to kind of spam Earth Powers, he spams Morning Sun right here. There's not much I can do. I can't switch out. He really doesn't want to switch out, and like, this is his way of just shipping me down. As I think I get released on the next turn, as I'm just going to keep on Earth Powering, as he once again keeps on Morning Sunning. And I can now go out into my Incineroar because his only attacking moves are Burn Up, Fire Spin, so I can take anything with ease, and if he wants a Toxic, I don't care. Smon is literally here just to check the Ninetales and, like, throw out Intimidates, so it really doesn't matter to me. So I'm going to take the Fire Spin, and on the following turn, I'm just going to go ahead, click U-turn. It's just by far my best play. I don't need to knock this off. I have ways of dealing with this. I just needed to get my Mew in, because Mew can taunt this and prevent it from Toxicking or Morning Sunning. And once it comes back in, it takes rocks and gets poisoned. So it's really not as bad after I force it out. That's what I really need to do right now. And he's just going to go into the Ninetales on my taunt, which is great because he can't Aurora Veil up. So because of that, I'm just going to go out into my Incineroar once again, because I can just, like, once again take any hit from this. If he wants to, like, Encore or whatever, that's fine, because I can just U-turn once again, and if he stays in, then that's just a free kill for Coco, so I really don't care what he does. So I'm just going to go ahead and go out into my Coco as a U-turn, as he has no switch into Dazzling Gleam, so yeah, that's just really free right here, as he's going to take all that damage, and I'm going to Dazzling Gleam, and right here he goes into the Mega Kangaskhan to Revenge. So I don't really care about health on this, so I'm willing to take the Fake Out if that means that this thing gets chipped down even further with the poison. So yeah, because I really have struggled, like I said, to kill this thing from full, because I don't have, like, a Conkeldurr on my team. So I'm going to U-turn, I'm just going to sack, like, one of my Mons that are, like, at, like, 30%, because I have, like, 3 of those right now. So yeah, I'm going to sack Incineroar. Like I said, I really only needed it for the Ninetales, but, like, Ninetales is in a pretty bad spot right now. It's at 50, yeah, it's at 51, it's poisoned, rocks are up, so it's really not going to do much. I'm not too concerned about it. Maybe I'll get a kill if it comes in on the Nidoqueen, but, like, I really don't care at that point, as that's not my game plan. My game plan is to win with Coco or Mega Aerodactyl, and the poison damage puts this in range of the Coco, which is huge. So I can go for the Z Twinkle Tackle, and this thing's down. So that's great. So now he's going to go into the Thundurus, and so I decided to see what I want to do here, because Coco obviously wins once this is weakened or removed, depending on what its set is. However, Nidoqueen's very weak because of the Arcanine. If he is if he has a Dual Dance set, there's a potential I just lose if I switch out. And if he's Scarfed, it really isn't that much of an issue, as long as I keep Nidoqueen around, because I can't get swept by an Electric move. So, because of that, I think that my play is always to Dazzling Gleam. And what also makes me think that is because originally when I killed the Arcanine with Coco, he went into Mega Kangaskhan to revenge. He didn't go into Thundurus. If he was Scarf Thundurus, he would have went out into it first because it deals with this better. But because he didn't go out into it first, it makes me believe that he is not Scarf, so I'm just going to Dazzling Gleam, as he is going to actually chew a crit. That actually did really nothing for a crit, as that crit, I don't think it mattered for putting this in range of Aqua Jet from Azu. And so what I'm going to do now is I can see that I can keep Coco and just win after this dies, so I can go into the Nidoqueen, he Thunderbolts. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to assume that this is going to die to like an HP Ice or Psychic, most likely Psychic. But he's actually going to reveal Dark Pulse, and I'm going to get flinched, which makes things a bit dicey. So there's like, this game is very much in my favor at this point, and as you can see, I go back into Coco when I literally just switched it out the previous turn. So I'm going to explain that because I glossed over it kind of quickly. If I go into Azu here, I Aqua Jet. His best chance of winning is then going Komao and then setting up, because if he sets up with Komao, I might just lose on the spot. Because if he's like Dragon Dance with like, or if he's no, not like Dragon Dance, if he's like Autotomize with Poison Jab and Dragon Coverage, which could make sense. I think it like covers my team. I think Poison Jab, because that hits both my fairies, and then maybe we could have something else to take care of Queen. It's just sort of like that worst case scenario. I think like setup Komao is very likely at the very least, because he's brought it and put in much success with it and his run so far. So what I took note of is that he Thunderbolted the Coco and I went into Queen to sack it. So that tells me that he does not have Sludge Wave, like 100%, because 100% you click Sludge Wave there if you had it versus Coco the turn prior, because like I'm either staying into Coco or I'm just sacking something like Queen off. So you just literally just go for the Sludge Wave. So he has really no reason not to just, so if he had it, he really had just no reason not to click it. So I'm going to go back into Coco, and this will guarantee me the win, as he just once again goes for Thunderbolt, and Coco is now going to clean him off. So yeah, GG to the Choice Specs. I once again suggest you check him out. Very, very good player, and also uploads Wi-Fi content, so very cool. So yeah, this is our Surge run for Silver Bracket. We unfortunately did lose our like first game, opening game, I guess you could call it. So we did end up in this bracket and not in the gold bracket, but we pretty happy of our performance in this tour, and honestly enjoyed Surge a lot. I know that it got like a lot of hate, and honestly got a bit of hate from myself before playing in this, just because it takes a bit long, because you have to like draft and like gives you less time to prep. But this is honestly very, very fun, because you start at like the bottom, you kind of just build it up, and I really enjoyed my team that I had here. Like I originally started like, I was just like, I want Primarina, so I'm gonna get Primarina, and I built around Primarina, and I eventually upgraded my team to where I got Azu, and I got like stuff just supporting it, like, and my team just really synergized really nicely, and it was just a really fun team. And I got to use some mons that like I normally wouldn't use, so that's really why I enjoyed this, because you get to use different mons and all that. So I really just suggest, even if it's not Surge, I like suggest you guys do like more lower tier stuff, like tier 3 and below, or like Little Cup. Like all of that's just a really fresh pace of stuff, like, and it's just really enjoyable, at least for me. So yeah, that's all I gotta really say about that. I'm not gonna talk too much about anything else, just wanted to throw out my thoughts on that, and thank Jolt for inviting me to this. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this. So peace.